I will say this. I think they made the right choice bringing in Garrett Wilson. I think on my board, he was the best wide receiver in this class. There's no question. The best route runner in this class, tremendous amount of speed. And if you look at the Jets and what kind of speed they hold now, I don't know if Denzel Mims makes this team this year, but supposedly he's looked pretty good on what they have said. If Denzel Mims plays, and then you have guys like Breece Hall and then Garrett Wilson and all the weapons they have like 4 or 5 guys that can run a 4.3, 4.4 or less. It's unbelievable how much speed the Jets have. And I think that's very, very important moving forward to help Zach Wilson, especially in the open field and running this Mike LaFleur type of offense. Let me ask you this question, Mr. Nimbley. You look at this whole team, and I don't think this team is more in a good season. I think the Jets could win 9 this year in a good season. I think the Jets are a 7 or 8 win team this year. I think next year will be the year where I expect the Jets to take a lead. You look at this team now on this roster, and even if they add a Kwan Alexander, I don't know if they will. They add a Kwan Alexander to this linebacking core. You're paying C.J. Mosley a lot of money. Where do you see this team, honestly, as a whole, if this turns out to be a really good season for the Jets?
If you're saying a really good season, I pretty much am aligned with exactly what you said. I think top is you're looking at 9 games. And the thing is, it's not, you can't even really, like the Jets can be so insanely improved over last year. But the AFC is just the AFC West is stacked. Like there's so much talent. These teams are so good right now that I don't even think it's like it's gonna sound worse than it is. But I think like 9 wins is the maximum ceiling, and I'm comfortably planting my flag in the 7 wins, and I think that it's going to be. At the end of the season, Jets fans are going to be relatively happy with it. I think, it's tough. You get those 4, starting with the AFC North 4 games in a row. That's tough. If you switch the schedule around, so you got those last 5 games to start the season with, right. You could start with like a nice 4-1. You could be one of those teams that kind of coast and like. Everyone knows isn't as good as their schedule, but maybe you could sneak in on the back door of a playoff. But I think that it's going to take them a little while to get going. But I think their losses are going to be more competitive, and I think you're looking at probably 7 wins. But the end of the season, you're gonna feel like you're not gonna be just looking at who's the number 1 draft pick quite as quickly as you normally do.
I just want to see Zach Wilson's development. If Zach Wilson shows everybody that he could be the leader of this team, he could really take that next step to be an elite quarterback in this league. That would make a lot of Jet fans really happy, because you don't want to go into next year saying, okay, we don't have a quarterback, and now we got to go into another draft looking for another quarterback and then building again with him. I don't want to see that. I think this is a very, very important year for Zach Wilson. I think Zach is the leader. I think Zach is going to be the guy, and I think Jet fans should be very excited to what we're going to see this year with this team offensively and defensively. You look at this coaching staff, and I, besides Robert Saleh, a lot of people were taking shots at Mike LaFleur, okay? Some of the play calls in the first half were questionable, and a lot of these, obviously they lost Corey Davis for the whole season practically. They lost what's his name again? Who the second round pick? I'm sorry,
Elijah
Moore. In the second half, Elijah Moore looked like he was going to be a breakout wide receiving superstar. I think he's going to be fun to watch this year if he can stay healthy. This offensive stability of this team really just didn't have a functional way of playing. What are your thoughts this year now that this is the second year under Mike LaFleur? Do you think Mike LaFleur is what everybody says he's going to be, an offensive guru, and is going to eventually be a big-time NFL head coach?
Yeah, the offensive guru thing, I'm not so sure about. I also just think that people get a little carried away with saying what does that mean? I don't know. But I do think that this offense is going to be humming at least I think we started to see at the end of last season, you started to see the running game take shape, even without those weapons, without those wide receivers. And they had like no threat of an actual aerial attack.
Right.
And they were still able to run the ball competently. And a lot of part of that was the offensive line took a little while to get settled. You remember that first game against Carolina, that first half, that offensive line, it was like, oh my God, this is going to be the longest season ever. And it took them a couple games to get settled, but then they started to come around, and you could really start to see the running game taking fruition. And then you add, like Tomlinson to it. Now you add a couple of tight ends that can come in and block. Now you got some things humming there. So I do think that that's not a concern of mine. Now, how well is he going to be able to blend the run pass balance? If Zach Wilson is good enough and they're doing that and take shots deep, those are the things that, that's the type of stuff that separates, the best from just merely good play callers. And some of it's just dumb luck, right? Calling the right play that happens to get executed in that moment, where there's other coordinators that called the right play, it just didn't get executed. Or this. So some of that's just dumb luck too. But I do think that as he's going to have this offense, all these players, Zach Wilson included, set up to the best that he can possibly set them up to succeed.
So last question for me, just one Jets bold prediction for this season and one bold prediction across the entire league.
Oh, okay. Let's see. So I think that let's see, how bold do I want to go here? I think I'm going super bold with Elijah Moore is going to have a huge season. If he can stay healthy. I'm going top 5 receivers there. Wow. I think that I think this is largely going to be with I could pair it with their running game. I just think their running game is going to set them up so much, and then they're going to do so many different things with the other weapons that they have, that Elijah Moore he had such good chemistry with Zach Wilson last year all throughout training camp. I think it'll take a couple of weeks to ramp up, and then I think everybody's going to be going nuts trying to get them in their daily fantasies and everything throughout the end of the season. So that's one thing there. And then, okay, league wide. Oh man, we have I just got to go in there here. Man, what do I got league wide? I'm really, you say lead wide, and my brain can't get out of the AFC West, because that's just the most fascinating thing in the world to me, trying to figure out what's going to happen there. And my brain is now telling me I want to say that it's going to be so complicated in there that something crazy like the Chiefs isn't going to make the playoffs, but that sounds ridiculous. But I'll stick with it just because I want to be ridiculous for right now.
As everybody knows, we're talking to JetsInsider.com editor-in-chief Chris Nimbley. Last question for me, Mekhi Becton. And I before the draft, a lot of people were saying that if Ekwonu was sitting there at 4, the Jets were interested in possibly drafting him and moving on from Mekhi Becton. I told fans that's not true. I think he didn't. Some people say that there were voluntary OTAs or whatever practices he didn't show up to, and the Jets told him to stay home because his son was getting born or his kid's going to be born. So, what is it? Are the Jets upset at Mekhi Becton? Now, obviously, because of his weight, because he was like 400 pounds at one point last year. Who knows what's going on? You're an inside guy. What is going on with Mekhi Becton?
All right, so there's a lot to this here. Now, I'll start with the Ekwonu thing. Joe Douglas definitely did love Ekwonu, and I knew early in the process he was saying he would think that long-term drafting Ekwonu would be the best thing for them to do it for, because, the fans not going to be here for too long, and then they could do stuff going on. And so he thought long-term, but they recognized the need to get Zach help now, and that would create kind of logjam. So that kind of backed him off of there, but he really did love Ekwonu. Now with Becton, now the reports of him coming up to camp last year, all fat and out of shape, were way overblown. By the time he actually came into camp, he was in excellent shape. But there was something going on with him and the coaching staff, and I still haven't been able to place exactly what's going on here. And this is kind of a byproduct of COVID and us not being in the building all the time anymore. We don't get to talk to players like we used to, and so many of these players I don't even know, like on a personal level, because we haven't met them like that. But there's some disconnect, and the coaching staff kind of used him has taken the opportunity to use him as an example. You know, this is a future a first round draft pick, and we're gonna, you know, hold his feet to the fire and do all this stuff too. So they would do that to send a message to the rest of the team, and I can get that on some level. But the way that they've been kind of manipulating the stuff with the weight stuff, and then they've been putting this stuff out, it all makes me uncomfortable. You can see how Becton doesn't like it when he responds on Twitter. But I don't, you know, and him staying OTAs, his girl was like gonna have the baby any day now. It's absurd that anybody would really make that into a big thing, especially for voluntary OTAs. Yeah, he was staying in Texas. He's training, like he's got the videos. He's gonna come and he's gonna play, as long, you know. The biggest concern, the only real concern I have with him is going to be healthy. Can he stay healthy? We saw his rookie year how good he can be. I don't have any doubt that if he's healthy enough, he can get back to that. And I think he'll be fine. I just think that this coaching staff is kind of using him to make an example of, and then the way that, you know, and the message gets portrayed and then goes in the media kind of gets messy. But I think once he plays and starts playing well, I think everything will settle down from there.
I think they've been doing that to him, and they've been doing that to Denzel Mims, and I think, and I just don't understand it. I understand it's not Robert Saleh's guys. Mekhi Becton was a Todd Bowles guy, obviously, and also obviously Denzel Mims was a Todd Bowles guy. He wasn't a Robert Saleh guy, so I understand the aspect and thought of where this team. I'm sorry, not Adam Gase. Adam Gase guy. I'm sorry, Adam Gase. That's what I meant. I keep saying Todd Bowles, but Adam Gase guy. Both guys were Adam Gase guys, and I guess they're not loved by the Jets. Before we let you go, because we have our other guest, I'm really upset at you, man, because you're not following me on Twitter. I'm going to. I think I followed you the other day. You're not following me. I'm very upset at you, man. I'm a Jet guy. I respect you, and I love what you have to write. I follow your blogs. We got to start following each other, bud. Because
all right, I'll get on that right now. I haven't been using Twitter too much. I try to stay off that.
How could you stay off of Twitter? Instagram. Listen, everybody knows social media. Instagram is bull. It's really for the Kardashians. If you want to take pictures of your ass and put it on. I don't use Instagram. I think somebody got on my Instagram. Facebook I use to just post up the radio stuff and everything like that. Twitter is the best social media thing for us. Really. Yeah. It really is, because it communicates what's going on in sports and the communication of what's going on in the world. So lately I've been a little bit more posty on my Twitter, and I'm going to be breaking 4,000 people follow me, which is thank you to all the fans that follow me, even though they're probably telling me over and over again, where the hell is your DMs? Where the hell is the posts? But I'm going to start doing it, so I apologize. But we got to follow each other, bud.
I got you. I'll follow you for sure. But yeah, I do the same. I don't use any other social media. I try to just tweet and then not look too much at Twitter.
I got you.
It's such a mess, but I will definitely give you a follow.
Thank you. Speedy will send you my Twitter, and I'll make sure that I'm following you 100%. But I love you, man. We really appreciate you joining us. We'll get you on very, very soon as OTA starts, and looking forward to meeting you sometime this year at the Jet Games.
Awesome. Sounds great, man. Have a good one, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely.